Good morning, everyone. Alas, Crooks and Clark. It's deja vu. And yeah, I put the black dress on just for you. That's the third one. We take it from there. Now, yesterday you asked us about, or rather we asked you in a poll, what would you like the stand-ups to be? And BD came out, I think something like 85% or something like that. So we've done a BD bit for you. So what do you think?
Well,
Alan?
BD is huge. It's a huge topic. I mean, it's not quite as big as the necklace that you're wearing, but it is huge. It's not anything that we can cover in 15 minutes, but I'm sure we did an Alas, Crooks and Clark on BD a little while ago, didn't we?
Yeah, last summer we did a load of BD videos, didn't we? So actually then, should we just play the video and sort of kick back?
Do you know, that would be a bit cheeky, wouldn't it? We could just play you a video that we did a little while ago and yeah, just go and do something else. Go and have some breakfast or something. No, the thing is, when we filmed that in my garage with the Alas, Crooks and Clark background, slightly better than the homemade one behind me. But it was filmed prior to COVID-19. So although we can use the script for it, we might need to make some adjustments along the way.
You've given away our secret. They would have thought, my God, they just did all that 10-15 minutes off the bat. And there's us. No, we've got a script. So let's start then. What are some of the BD challenges that your clients tell you about, or your consultants that your training face?
Do you know, historically, clients have said, it's amazing, some clients, when they say, oh, can you just come in and give our guys some BD training? And that's as if that's the result of their TNA, their training needs analysis. So when I say to them, okay, look, BD is quite a big topic. You know, what specifically do you want? Where are your needs? And then often they say, well, they're just not picking up the phone.
So training to pick up the phone, it would be the start, but that's not a training issue. People know how to pick up the phone. That's a motivational issue, surely.
It is. And you know, when I sit with people, sit with business owners and managers and stuff, and when they give that to me as a reason, that I start to think about, there's some phone fear there. And some people do have a fear of the phone, picking up the phone, making a fool of themselves, maybe not having the skills, the confidence, the training. And I guarantee you this, a lot of people, a lot of recruiters, or even in sales in general, they will be overthinking the outcome before they pick up the phone. And one other thing that I can guarantee you, they won't be thinking about positive outcomes. They'll always be role playing in their head the negatives of how bad it's going to be.
Yeah, so that's a good starting point, actually. So before you even pick up the phone, it's all about what's the positive outcomes that you want. You need to set yourself the 3 objectives, don't you? So as we were doing gold and gold medals yesterday, then it could be your gold medal, your silver medal, your bronze medal. So what's going to be an easy win? There's only 3 of you in the race, so you're going to get the bronze. So what do you want to make sure you definitely get before you pick up the phone? What about the silver if it goes quite well? And what about the gold if it goes really well? What are those 3 objectives? What do you want to achieve? And think about then the questions you need to ask to get those objectives. All of this should be part of the planning. You knew planning had to be beforehand. Because otherwise, yes, plan for the objectives as well, because that fight or flight will kick in, won't it? When you hear an objection, the fight or flight kicks in and you're like, either, okay, I'll call you back next month, boom, straight down, or you're straight in there with, well, why not? And how what are you basing that against? And well, okay, why is that then? And yeah, it doesn't work, does it? So we need to start with a positive mindset.
Yeah. And I think this is slightly sort of counterintuitive, but starting with a positive mindset is sometimes just welcoming the no's. We know that the number of calls that we're going to be doing, look, there's going to be a lot more recruiters sort of creeping back into the offices now. And guess what they're going to be doing? They're going to be making phone calls. They're going to be sending out emails. And I was first told when I first joined Blue Arrow, my boss just said, right, there's a cabinet over there, start making calls. He said, go and get me 20 no's. And I just looked at him and thought, what an idiot. Surely he wants me to pick up jobs and stuff. But by about 9:30 on my first day, I'd got my 20 no's. So I thought, yes, mini victory for me. But the thing is, it's when you start to understand why they're saying the no, then you can start to break down the barriers. And it's then and only then. You can only do that on a phone call. It's very difficult to do that via an email.
Yeah, you're right. I love the 20 no's, actually. I think that's a great objective, isn't it? Because the more no's you get, the closer you are to that yes. So that's really important. So why do we think then that recruiters tend to, nowadays anyway, prefer to start their conversations with an email rather than picking up the phone?
You know, and I've only just thought about this. Oh, and by the way, thank you very much, Louise. That's very kind of you. She's not a recruiter, but she loves spending the mornings with us too.
Oh,
Bless.
start of her day. Andrew Simito is too early for her, maybe.
No, it's always good to get interaction, but positive feedback as well. I think a lot of the times, and again, I don't think it's unique to recruiters. You know, I've even seen it when my kids were at home. You know, they're like this, and they're really quiet, and they're backwards and forwards. I said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Oh, I'm just arranging Friday night." I said, "But you've been on the phone now. You've been texting for the last 30 minutes. Why don't you just pick up the phone and say, what are you wearing? Where are we going? How much money do I need to draw out?" It's so easy, but some people hide behind it because they don't want to deal with that no. But it could also be the client's preference. Clients actually might prefer to be able to communicate via email because maybe they can't talk openly in the office. So there could be valid reasons for both. But I think if you want to connect with somebody on a personal level, particularly if you're speaking to somebody for the first time, you've got to pick up the phone.
Yeah, and I think that is an important point to make, because there will be differences. I don't know if it was on a stand-up that I mentioned, I had a client that would only reply via text. So there are preferences out there. And also, you've got to think about the person that you're speaking to, the industry that you're in, even the country that you're in. I mean, you and I have worked internationally, and actually there are cultural differences as to whether people would find it like if you spoke to them straight away and you were talking to them about their business, they would actually find that a bit of an affront and a bit rude. So I'm thinking of as well there. Yeah,
and I think the same cultural differences happen not just on the BD call, but you need to have that understanding if you're approaching somebody or on a headhunt call, for example. You know, the Germans, for example, I've tried to make a German gatekeeper laugh before. Not a chance. That ain't going to happen. Trying to get a Polish person to ask for referrals, that ain't going to happen. Trying to get Russians playing together, that's not going to happen either. So even if you have a basic understanding of the cultural nuances when you make your BD calls, and if you don't have the language skills, just at least learn how to say, you know, guten Tag, guten Morgen, or whatever it might be, just to break the ice, and then learn how to say, you know, do you mind if I carry the call on in English?
I used to do that with my training. Yeah, I did French and German at school, and Latin. Surprisingly, I've never used the Latin for training, but the German, I used to start my course in German, that opening statement, and they would all be like this, and I was like, I'm really sorry, that's all I got. It's like, we're not going to do the rest in English. So picking up the phone is a challenge for them. Not using emails is a challenge. Any others?
I think gatekeepers are often a challenge. I know I've just referred to gatekeepers, but I think we can probably do a little session on gatekeepers maybe next week, because they're worth their own segment. They're wonderful human beings, and I think we really need to understand them.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably less of an issue at the moment because people are at home and answering their own phones. But I bet there are hiring managers that have got their phone redirected to their PA and they're not taking those calls. So that's still going through, or their EA or whoever it is. So, yeah, let us know, guys. If you want us to do that on a stand-up next week, we're happy to pick that one up as gatekeepers and last scripts and Clark. We're going to have a regular segment. So we're going to do a day a week. It's probably going to be a Tuesday that we're going to take over. We are going to let Alex back in the gym tomorrow morning with Claire for the regular Friday spot of the mental health and well-being, ready for the weekend. So we're going to pick up on Tuesdays to focus on your BDs for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. I think that would be a good idea. So should we do a few then? Should we do a few examples? And
come on then.
I'll
start off. Oh, and by the way, do let us know what your gatekeeper challenges are. Ping us an email, let us know through the gym, in the sidebar, because then what we'd like to do is make it absolutely relevant to you. You know, we've got books in us, not that we're ever going to write one, but well, actually, are you writing one? But we've got books in us that we could make up these gatekeeper responses, but it's really good if it comes from you. Okay, let me start off. I scripted this one out. Are you ready?
Go for it.
It's because this is how I didn't used to do my BD. Hold on, let me get a phone just to make it real. Oh, yeah. Hi. Good morning. My name is Alan Clark from Recruiting Jim, and I was wondering if you had any vacancies. There you go. Boom. Smashed it. How was that?
That's so typical. Oh, terrible. First of all, the ums and the ahs, the hesitation, the lack of confidence that you're showing. I mean, how confident am I that you're going to help me in my business? I'm in around people. Even you sounded uncertain, so I'm definitely not confident in what you're going to do. We need it to be more fluid. And rather than saying my name is, just say, good morning, it's Alan Clark from Recruiting Jim. You don't need to say calling from a company, because you're just adding in words that really don't add any value to what you're saying. And the likelihood is there's going to be extra ums and ahs there. And don't just wonder either. This is one of my pet hates, when people say, I was just wondering. Well, then you carry on wondering, because that's not a question then. And certainly the just, you're straight away lowering down by saying I'm just. Well, it's not important then, is it? If it's just this, it's just that. And people say just a quick call or just and you're like, no, it's not. It's a business conversation. There's no just about it, unless it's relating to a time frame. I just saw that you'd won something. Yeah, okay, we'll allow you with that one. And asking if they've got any vacancies straight away. Well, what's the likelihood of that at the moment in COVID-19? We've been banging on about it for 3 months. Let's talk about them. Let's talk about their business. Let's talk about what's happening, what their plans are. We're not going straight in, you've got any vacancies? Okay, so find out what's important to them.
Well, don't hold back on the feedback, Angela. I think you might just had a little bit of an insight into the feedback you might get when you're doing role plays with Angela.
I'm nothing if not honest, but I might temper it a little bit. I've been doing it for 23 years. Yeah, you're right.
I'll take on board your feedback. All right.
Go on.
See if I can do better this time. Good morning. It's Alan Clark from Recruiting Jim, and I specialise in training and development. And I've read recently that you're going to be investing heavily in your L&D function across 2020. So, what are going to be your priorities for your sales teams?
Much better. Clear introduction. You demonstrated you've done some research, a lot more confidence in your voice and the way that you were saying it. You knew something about the company already to get the conversation started. Although this was pre-COVID, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think here's another one. I get this a lot on BD when I'm listening to people doing their role plays and stuff and listening to their calls. Speaking to somebody for the very first time. Now that's the sort of the premise on this one. Speaking to somebody for the very first time, they pick up the phone. Oh, good morning. It's Alan Clark from Recruiting Jim. I specialise in learning and development. How are you today?
This is another pre-COVID one as well, isn't it? So one, are they likely to be invested in training and development in 2020? But two, I always used to have a frustration with the how are you today? Because I always thought it would throw away, unless you were really interested, because I would always answer honestly and I would tell them exactly what's happening. And sometimes they'd be like, okay. But in this scenario, I'm thinking, actually, how are you doing at the moment is probably a relevant question for people. And we're all asking it. I ask people whether they're safe and well. And I do actually want to know that they are. So, you know, what are your thoughts on that?
Do you know what I think? Sometimes you can just change the way I'm pointing at. My wife tells me that's negative energy. Mind you, have you seen the politicians? See how they point? They're trained how to point. They do this with their knuckle. I thought, seriously? That's like you're in the playground and you're pretending you got a cat gun. So I can't do the la. I can't do that one. Oh yeah. So rather than saying how are you, you can say, look, how's your team doing? You know, how's your business coping? So you make it more relevant to the time that we're in, to the marketplace that you're in, to the relationship you might have. This might be a lapsed client, an existing client. It could be a brand new client, but if you're going to ask the question, how are you, and you are genuinely interested in their welfare, listen to their bloody answers. Because, you know, the amount of times you say, how are you? And the client says, yeah, really good. What about yourself? Fine. Anyway, look, the reason for the call is, and it's almost as if, you know, what has that exchange actually done? Or if they say, how are you? Me? How am I? It's only 9:15 and I've had 20 bloody recruiters on the phone already. Excellent. Anyway, the reason for my call is I'm a recruiter specialising in no. What's going to happen?
Okay, so we've done a bit of preparation. We've opened up the call. We've thought about how you're going to say, and we did a bit on questioning earlier in the week. But obviously, like we said, this is a massive topic. We could go on for a long time. We're coming up to our 15 minutes, so therefore, I think this is something we'll pick up on our BD session every week. So if you've got any bits that you want us to focus on specifically, we can do some role plays online, and you can throw in your gatekeepers, your objections and everything, and we'll give that a go as well.
I do think, and I thought we might actually, we've run out of time, I thought we might actually be able to get onto some openers, but we'll reserve that for another time, because I think there are some specific openers that we can use in relation to the current climate. Anything other than, have you got any vacancies? And if you're going to ask, how are you, be genuinely interested in them, their welfare, their team's welfare. Morning, Alex. I just read something about Alex sticking fingers up at me. What is that? My mum used to say, when you point at someone, there are 3 fingers point. Alex has told me that live on a webinar.
You're pointing on that one as well then, were you? Okay, so we'll see you. Well, actually, no, we might not see you next Tuesday, guys, because remember, we've got our start the weekend with Alas Cripps and Clark. Tomorrow we're doing, I know that song. It's going to be a song theme based start the weekend with Alas Cripps and Clark. 4:15 tomorrow afternoon, guys. Bring a drink if you're drinking.
And bring plenty of cheese, because I'll tell you what, there's going to be about 20 minutes of cheese coming your way. That's for sure.
Yeah, love it. Okay, guys, we'll see you soon. Have a great day. Get on the phones.
Bye.
Bye-bye.